message.
And because we have a musician here, we want to talk about concerts. Lately, this has become an all too common experience. You score tickets for a show only to find out that it's been canceled. And there's a good chance, that this will keep happening. The Guardian is reporting that with rising costs and COVID risks, many musicians are just simply scrapping tours. Do you think, Sean, that this touring industry is broken?
I mean, I haven't toured in a while, so I can't really speak on that too much. What I do know, I do run a dance competition. And I have to rent venues, I have to rent audio-visual. Costs have gone up. 30, 40%.
Jeez, that's big.
That's really big, 100%. Especially when you haven't done anything in 2 years. You're starting from zero. So I can speak on that. But also, I also want to speak on artists canceling tours due to mental health, which I think is happening more than ever now. They are starting to stand up for themselves, which I think is very important. Because mental health, if you're not good for yourself, you're no good for nobody. So,
Can you talk a little bit about, I think that that's a really great point, because for a long time, artists were just doing it and pushing through. But it's a lonely life on the road,
It's a lonely life, not just that. It's hard. Do you know how hard it is to go up there and do show after show, night after night, back to back? Like, Shawn Mendes, I remember when he first started, I would say to myself, this guy is always on tour. Like, holy mac. And finally he was like, yo, I need a break.
The fact that it took so long for someone to start saying that, because I love music documentaries, and a lot of times when you're watching them about past bands, there's always often the same story. You hear about the rise, and then everybody wants a piece of them, and then the expectation about make the music, and they got into it because they loved the music. A lot of times the music itself was therapy, as in the case with Shawn Mendes. And then you see in those music documentaries, that's when they start to get into addictions. That's when they start to get into band problems, and that's when everything is the beginning of the end of falling apart. But it's amazing that it's taken this long. I feel like Justin Bieber and Shawn Mendes and a handful of other bands are about the only ones who've actually said, you know what, forget it. Because it's so much money is at stake, and I don't see that changing.
And they can afford to take the break, too, right? They can afford it. It's tricky, too. It's the money, for sure, but also it's, I mean, you can attest to this. Music is meant to be enjoyed in community, right? That's the live experience. It's one thing to, record in a booth and stick it on a whatever.
I want to tour.
Right.
I want to be on.
Exactly. You want to be in front of people. Yes, you love it. So there's that aspect of it too.
And was there ever a period in your life though where you were performing concerts, but it wasn't your primary income? Like you were doing other things. You were working other jobs. No, it's always been. Do you feel like that is sort of unique in that industry? Where a lot of musicians are working day jobs?
On their situation. Where if you're an independent artist, you're touring. Some independent artists make great money. Some don't, and will have to have other income to, to suffice whatever else is happening. But it's not very unique, to be honest.
No, really. Good for you. I had no idea.
But I do think you bring up a good point. There was a time when a musician could just be a musician, 100%. Record and tour. And now musicians have brand partnerships. They say that musicians have to, even before they're signed these days, have a social media following. I see you.
Welcome to 2022.
That's right. So there's a lot of other pressures. And then when you add the touring thing in, and the mental health pressures and the cost these days. I think that's why Vegas has become a thing. Right? It used to be that an artist went to Vegas at the end of their career and it was kind of embarrassing. And now, exactly. And now the top, Adele, all the top artists have a Vegas residency, because then you don't have to travel around the world. You can make a home there, have your family there, and then the fans come to you. And you don't have to get the trucks going and put all the equipment and whatever, fly it to Amsterdam or whatever. So I think that's a reason why Vegas has become a thing.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's solved. We just solved it.
Problem solved. But I do think, I do want to say, I think this is temporary. I think this will change. I think once we're a little bit over the COVID hump a little bit more, things will start to normalize a little bit.
People who want to go to the concerts will feel more compelled also to book them in advance, because in this article, it sort of mentioned that. The money is sort of tied to how many seats they sell in advance. A lot of people are a little nervous about buying something 5 months down we don't know, in the last 2.5 years, we've seen how quickly things can change.
But artists are still touring. Like, we're making it sound like no artists are on tour right now. Like, I'm going to a concert in 2 weeks. I'm going to see Blackpink in Hamilton.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Are you gonna come over to my place before?
Well, I was actually gonna ask you because I need a place to stay.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a sleepover!
It's gonna be one of those nights.
Hey there, wasn't that great? Do you know where you can find some equally good content? Our YouTube page. It's filled with discussions, debates, and some laughs. Head there now, like and subscribe.